everybody. I'm John Coyle, if you don't know me, and here's my daughter Cheryl, and she's going to tell a bit of a story here about she had her first long distance train trip in the United States and rode the California Zephyr from San Francisco, or it's Emeryville, across to Denver, and she'll give a basic outline of how that went and basically what your feelings are about the trip, or all the different things that come to mind about this first train trip that more or less got her interested in doing future train trips in the years to come as well. So Cheryl, give us a bit of an idea of what comes to mind about the California Zephyr and about what happened. You know, just start, maybe you arrived in San Francisco and you did the Redwoods and you did the AMTRAK tour, and so let's say you're coming to the time now. You're heading off. You get to across into Emeryville. So let's your impressions from there on, then, okay, to Denver.
Okay, all right, sure. Well, yes, I got on at Emeryville, and yeah, I mean, first impressions were okay. Well, this is nice. There's a lot of space for the roomette, and I was kind of just crossing my fingers, hoping there wouldn't be anyone else coming into my room. And I waited and waited, and no one comes.
No, they don't anyway. I found out they don't, by the way.
No one coming. Oh, it was
they
great.
don't.
Yeah.
Just for those interested, roomettes are something rather unique in a way, because we used to call a roomette with one person in it. That was called a roomette. Now the roomettes are for one or for two. And what happens, by the way, folks, this is pretty good information for you. If you are traveling alone, as Cheryl was, you book a roomette, you get the whole cabin. No one comes in. AMTRAK doesn't get greedy and send another lady in there to occupy the upper berth and you got the lower berth. It doesn't work that way in the United States, but it does in Australia.
Okay.
So Connie, you got your roomette, which is your own little cabin. You can face the direction of travel. You got two seats. So take it from there. And what happened then? You saw the conductor, or we call him. Well, the attendant came along and checked your
checked my
phone. And tell us what happened there.
So I downloaded the AMTRAK application and on my phone, and I used that to book my ticket, and also to I just used my ticket to show the ticket master.
On your phone.
Yeah, on my phone, and they literally just looked at it and I just scanned it. Beep beep. They had a QR code, I think, it had on there, and they just scanned it, and then there was no problem with that. But so I was on the train and I got myself sorted, and I remember my father saying, make sure that you spend most of your time in the lounge car.
Yeah, sure.
So as soon as I got my things sorted out, I stood up and went out, and I found the lounge car or the dining car.
There's one of each. So
one of each.
Yeah.
So I went through the dining car first because that was the car that was closest to me.
Yeah, sure.
And then I just kept walking through until I reached.
The next car would be the lounge.
The lounge car. And yeah, I mean, first impression.
What's your impression? Wow. That's pretty good. The nice swivel seats.
It's all mostly glass.
Glass, into the
so
roof.
You can see above and all around. So
did you go downstairs into this little snack bar? It's got tables and that was down there as well?
I went downstairs as well, but it wasn't, I preferred up.
Yeah, because anyway, by the way, I interrupt from time to time. She gets, when you have a sleeping berth, you get your meals are all included. So she got 5 meals.
Yeah.
And if you felt like something like a cup of coffee or a chocolate or whatever along the way, you go down to the snack bar and you just pay cash for that.
Yes, that's right, yeah. But I thought, well, I've read the meals are so big. I
didn't
bother
it.
with that. And I know I had bought a few little snacks from San Francisco as well. So if I wanted to snack on some chocolate or something, then I had that there. So that was fine. But yeah, so I went in the lounge car and I just, took a seat there, and I was listening. I heard someone that appeared very interested in rail, and I decided to just talk to him and ask him, okay, you're a big rail fan. Oh yes, I am. Okay. I thought, because I don't really know very much.
Thought about his dad. That's what happened.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought, well, if my dad was, it would be nice if my dad was here giving me a talk on all the great features of this train and guiding me in that way. But I didn't have anyone to talk to me about that, so I decided to try and ask someone else. And yeah, the guy was very interesting because he told me lots of the history. Like, he'd rode the line already before, and he told me a lot of background regarding the locations that we went through.
Right.
So he was a really nice man, but he was
But he's a rail fan. That's why she's laughing, guys.
No, I'm laughing because he kind of hit on me, and I decided.
No, you didn't want anyone hitting her under the nose. She's a married lady here, guys.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm married.
Sorry about that. I'm married lady.
Yeah,
there's the ring. You know what I mean? It's like
that was pretty funny. I had to quickly sort of move away from him and just
just ask him a couple of questions.
Talk to someone else. But
some people are funny, don't they? They make a move.
Very interesting person, and he had a lot of good knowledge, which was good. So it was just cool. Talking to him and just I took a lot of photos and videos.
Okay. You went along the bay, kind of. You're heading north. You're heading north out of Emeryville, and on to your left is the water, and you're going up towards Sacramento, which means you're going right along the bay. And there's bridges and everything, and you curve around, and you're heading to Sacramento, which is the capital. So, did you get off the train for a couple of minutes? I never take a risk, guy. I mean, people probably know me. I get off, they say 10 minutes, well, I'm off for 3 minutes, if you know.
Right, I'm
quick photo, get back on the train. I don't want to be left behind.
Me too.
Right? Yeah. So did you do that anywhere? Some people smoke, of course, but we don't smoke, but they get off there and smoke away and jump on the train. Right?
I did if I was given 10 minutes, I'd leave for about 3 minutes.
3 minutes to get back on.
Taking video of the train, and then I kind of walked towards the station, took some video of the station,
yeah, sure.
Went back in, and that was about it. But I did get a point where I got to stay for up to like 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, somewhere like Reno was...
Reno, Grand Junction.
Reno on the first day.
Reno,
because you go through Sacramento, which is the capital. And then you begin to climb the mountains.
It was
you get
Reno,
the Sierra,
right? Yeah.
And you come up to Reno, which is the biggest little city in the world, as they describe themselves. It's a funny thing, but it's a gambling city like Las Vegas, but it's a smaller version. But Reno is sort of like the beginning of the climb up the Sierra Nevada ranges, and there's something you wouldn't be aware of. As a rail fan, guys, I'll tell you, it's called the Trench. Did you get out at Reno station for a couple of minutes? You should walk your walk. You're in a trench. You're not aware of this, but it's big concrete walls. And if you look along, you see these what used to be level crossings with bridges. Did you notice any of those by chance? Because
I didn't.
We don't observe them, but I just got to explain. If you don't mind me sort of coming in on a couple of these things. Reno, I used to go through places like that in the old days. And it was up on the surface, and there'd be a lot of. We call them level crossings, but in America they're called grade crossings. Well, they eliminated all those grade crossings by digging a big trench. And they ran the tracks down through the trench and put a new station that's almost underground. You can, as they warned us, if you go upstairs, you don't go play the slot machines because we're going to leave without you. Right? So it's in a trench, and then you get back on there. You don't even notice. Most people wouldn't even notice. You're in the trench for about 1.5 miles, and you come back out onto the surface, grade. You climb out into the countryside, and what now? There's a scenery. You go past Donna Lake. Did you see Donna Lake? I remember seeing that.
I think, is that Lake? I can't remember.
Donna Lake is a big lake in the mountains.
Yeah, probably
and
that one.
Speedboats might go
really
along it and all that.
Yeah.
That's called Donna Lake.
Donna Lake. Okay, yeah. That was really, really beautiful. Yeah, I got very excited when I saw that.
But, no commentary. Unfortunately, this is another disappointment. I've got to tell people, and I guess Cheryl would agree with that. We miss, even though Cheryl's only done it once, I miss the national parks people giving their commentary and describing where you are and what happened, a bit of history.
I found out afterwards when I was talking to my father about my trip that they did that volunteer effort, and I actually saw a poster regarding that, and I actually jumped at the idea. I thought, wow, maybe on my next trip I can volunteer. I just thought, wow.
Doesn't quite work that way.
But, it'd be nice to get free meals and a free round trip, It sounded like good idea. But I didn't know that they actually did that. Dad said that they do.
Well, they used to.
Well, they used to, obviously, but they didn't do it on my trip, unfortunately.
Okay. But
so I just had to find different people that were...
Another idea they should do, perhaps, is have a line-side guide that does the same thing. Tells you where you are. Off to the left is such and such.
Well, actually,
to the right is so-and-so.
The train drivers and assistants, I guess you could say.
On the train driver, but like your onboard staff making announcements for coming into such and such place.
They did make announcements. They did say that this is such and such a lake, and this is...
Oh, that's good. They kind of filled in their...
They did. They filled in the volunteers' efforts, and they did give a little bit of background regarding the places. So, and they gave us plenty of notice as well, so enough notice so that if you were in your roomette, you could had the time to go up to the lounge car and then enjoy the view.
Here's the question I was going to ask is when it comes to mealtime, your lunch, in other words, did you just go to the dining car and say, I'd like to have lunch now, or did they say to you, oh, we'll take your name and call you?
Okay, yeah, so for lunchtime, if you got there early enough, which is what I would do every time, pretty much.
11:30 or something? And
first in, first served.
Yeah.
So basically, if the seats were free, you could go and sit down. Like they would show you where to sit, and then you'd sit down. And they'd always seat you with another group of people. So they made sure that no one was sat alone, which was really nice. Right, so if the seats filled up though, then they would take your name and your room number,
come back
and then they would call you
and say, "We'll call party." In America, they have this word "party." We're dealing with different cultures here because Cheryl's married to a man who's part Japanese and he's part American, and so spend a lot of our vacation in northern Minnesota, by the way. But they say the word "party." And they'll call out "Party Cheryl," even though there's no party. There's no party. And a Party Cheryl will turn up and sit down. Meaning group or even individuals are called a party.
Yeah,
that's
right. But that would be lunchtime. And then for dinner time, they would take reservations. For all the people.
The lady would come by and take a time that you want.
Yes, that's right. So it would be
5:30, 6 or whatever.
5:30 p.m. 5:30, 6:30. And that was really good because when I had to get off at Colorado on my second day, I was due in at in Denver at about 6:30 p.m. around that time.
Oh, okay.
And so I made sure I had dinner at 5:30 or
5
p.m. And then enjoyed that before I went off.
Yeah, no rush, so you can go back to your cabin.
And in regards to that, I was really pleasantly surprised to know that our train actually ran pretty much on time. It was about, I think it was about 15 minutes late, which is, to me,
that's not to worry about.
Underneath an hour, that's really fantastic, considering the stories that I had heard.
Yeah, well, that's true. And some viewers, in other words, would know that some Amtrak trains do run habitually late.
Yes.
Sunset Limited comes to mind, and even the Empire Builder comes to mind. And but the Cheryl's train, the California Zephyr, should be pretty much on time.
Yeah, as my dad had told me yesterday, that the line uses a secondary.
What I call a secondary main, and only real rail fans would know what I'm talking about. But the main for freight goes when you're heading towards Salt Lake City, or but you don't quite get into Salt Lake City. The main goes across through Cheyenne, Wyoming, and then towards Chicago. Whereas on the secondary main, which used to be the Denver and Rio Grande Western, it goes down through Provo and across through Grand Junction and Glenwood Springs and goes into Colorado that way. So it rejoins the main, let's say, at Denver, and then you've got the traffic again from Denver towards Chicago. So their train avoids the majority of the freight traffic. I'll put it that way.
So that was really good.
Yeah. So anyway, it ran okay, and I'm quite impressed with the train, and the crew was pretty good generally.
Generally, the crew was great. There were a few individuals, there were 2 individuals out of the entire crew that weren't so great, if you know what I mean. But I didn't take note of their names or anything like that. No. That was a little bit surprising.
Can I just add in that I had one that was so bad one time that I actually complained to the chief executive of AMTRAK. And no doubt she would have been pulled over the coals over something. But that's too long a story. It's not my story, guys, I'm just saying. I had one person difficult to deal with. I find 90% at least of the crews are good. I find them, well, maybe it's my luck, but I've had some good people.
It was certainly, overall, it was quite good. But I do live in Japan, and I've been living in Japan for 7 years. I'm used to riding the Shinkansen, the bullet train there. And in Japan, as most of you may know, it has some of the highest quality service in the
world, and timekeeping, and they're taught to. I believe, I will say it, but I think you agree. I think in Japan they're very strict on treating passengers right. In other words, the customer's always right, but that's a false saying. But I believe they'd always smile and give the right good service in for food. And of course they bow, of course, in Japan and so on, and serve from a trolley, which is a thing that they do in Britain and Europe, but not in America. I'm not aware of trolley service. They may have some in the eastern part of the United States. And in Australia, trolley service is not common. But in the United States, on those long distance trains, they don't have trolley service, so everyone goes to the snack bar in the lounge, or they're free to buy a meal in the dining car, whereas Cheryl would have hers included. And here's another clue that some people may not know, and I advise Cheryl before she travelled. When you're in a sleeping car, remember the car number, not the car number on the outside of the carriage with, 648-972 or something, but as you walk through, there's a plate on the door, and it'll have the car number. It might say 0360. Oh, okay, 0360, and my cabin is number 5. Okay, go to the dining car. When you fill out your menu that you want a steak or whatever else, you put down the bottom left-hand corner, I think it is, 50360, and immediately that's included. And you might leave a couple of bucks tip. I don't know what you did, but typically a couple of bucks. You put a couple of dollar notes or whatever you like. Yeah. Did you do that under the plate and you walk away?
Yeah. Thanks to my dad, I remembered to do that. He repeated it quite a few times, so it really drilled into my brain. I needed to make sure I remembered the number no matter what. Yeah. So that was the first thing I did. I remembered the number, and I wrote it every time that we had a meal. We filled that out.
Yeah.
And if you thought that the server was really good to you, then you gave them a tip. In my case, I only gave a tip to one time actually, because, with one server in particular was a really excellent server compared to the other ones, so I gave him quite a bit more.
Not knowing, by the way, guys, that the tips are all shared.
So,
you're not giving it to his hand, if you know what I mean. He put it under the plate. I don't think you handed it over to him, but you didn't actually give him cash.
Well,
in his hand or what?
We just put it on the table.
Yeah, on the table. Well, that's right. Yeah. It's not personal.
And then we gave it to him.
Yeah, he and others would collect that. And
if on a bit of a side note, but
sure.
The reason why I decided to tip him is because he was kind enough to make sure that we had enough chocolate cake for everyone in our group that was sitting at the table. Chocolate cake. It was a flourless chocolate cake, and one of the other passengers that I was sitting with highly recommended it. And I said to him, and he said, he said to me, it's a very delicious cake. It's very rich. I haven't had anything like it. I highly recommend it. And I said, oh, cake. Okay. Well, I'm gluten free, so I probably can't eat it. Yeah. And I suddenly felt quite disappointed. But about not even a minute later, one of the servers comes past, and then he goes to another table, and he says, okay, yes, so one flourless chocolate cake, yes?
Done.
And to the other table. What did I just hear then? Flourless, wow. So the chocolate cakes were actually gluten-free. So I decided to, get one along with the rest of my group. Tasted it. Amazing. I mean, it's one of the best chocolate cakes I've ever had in my life. That's how good it is.
That's recommendation enough, guys, to
get the chocolate
California
cake.
Zephyr, get
if
the
you
chocolate
ride that
cake,
train,
right?
yes.
So what is as I've done the trip a number of times, and I know what I describe as the scenic highlights are. Did you take my little advice that I gave you to get up fairly early in the morning and have an early breakfast? Like get up there at 6:30 in the morning or so? Did you?
Yeah, I got up about 6:30, 6
And the scenery's all like big canyons and like out of the Wild Western movies and stuff. It's like big reddish canyons, and it's not the river. It's Utah. So you're going through Utah in the morning and through to lunch, and by that time you're getting into Colorado. Certainly by lunchtime, I guess, and you get to places like Grand Junction, which, by the way, doesn't mean junction like a railroad. It's junction of two rivers. And a lot of people say, well, where does a railroad junction? That's a railroad as a term. A junction, no, there's not a junction that way. This, by the way, I think it'll be the Colorado River, maybe the Platte River. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what the other second river is, but it's definitely.
They come in there at Grand Junction, and you got a few minutes break to get up. They refuel the train at Grand Junction, in my experience, going west. I don't know about going east. I guess they do.
I got up at.
What's the most? The Colorado River. You go on the Colorado River for 200 miles or so. You go through Ruby Canyon and not Grand Canyon, of course. Boyers Canyon, number of canyons. And did they maybe tell you a little bit about that? Like the attendants say, well, we're coming up to certain canyons, and off to your right. It's nearly off to your right to go through all those
They might have,
That's the highlight of the trip, in my
some of the
opinion.
names of some of the canyons, but that
Yeah,
was
they did.
as far as they went.
Yeah,
Really go
yeah.
into
That's where they
detail.
need a sort of a guide
Yeah,
map.
it'd be nice they delved
I
into
might suggest that to them. I don't know if Cheryl, you're going to do that. I'm going to do it. They have a guide, and this to do that in Australia, by the way, was have a line side guide. You know, off to the right you've got this canyon, off to the left you've got that.
That would have been nice.
That would have been, that's something that's worthwhile raising with AMTRAK, I think.
Definitely.
Anything else?
But overall, I love the fact that it did hug the Colorado River.
You go for about 200 miles along the Colorado.
Yeah, that was really
You go up to about 10,000 feet altitude, and you come down to Denver, which is 5,000 feet in itself already, which is nearly as high as the mountains here in Australia you can get. So Denver must have been just in sort of, you know, must have been a wonderful place to visit. You visited your friend, and what your friend? She's familiar with the train, or she doesn't?
She knows of it, but she's never rode the train herself.
You recommend it to her to ride the train?
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I recommend it to anyone. I mean, I told my dad this, and I'll actually probably add this after this interview in the video. I went into this trip not having too many expectations because I grew up with my father being very interested in trains, and I had only just recently started getting interested when I started riding some trains in Japan.
Yeah, sure.
And but I'm still not sure about long distance trains because I've never rode one before. Was it really going to work? You know,
you said 31 hours, Dad. What am I going to do sitting on a train for 31 hours?
Well, I don't know. Is it going to really, you know,
it's not
make
bad.
it to Dad's? You know, was it
what
really
I was hoping, I was only hoping, guys, I'll be honest with you.
As good
I was
as
hoping it's going to run okay. I was hoping it wasn't going to be cancelled or, I'm sorry guys, there's a derailment, we're going to put you on buses, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff would be Cheryl's first and last train ride,
Probably,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Sorry.
So, but it was an excellent, it was far beyond my expectations.
Okay,
and
good.
I really did find that I couldn't put my phone, like my camera down. I had to keep taking photos.
By the way, your mother was like that on her trip.
Yeah, I felt like I couldn't, I'd take a photo, I'd look down to try and like, you know, edit it and go through some of the other photos that I'd taken, and then I'd see in the corner of my eye something on the window, and look at the window, oh wait, and then quickly change the settings, and then take another photo, or 5 photos, and then again, and then oh wait, I'm gonna take a video, and then I take a video, and this just proceed.
Well, that's good.
And then I remember it just suddenly becoming 3 p.m. and I thought, what? It's 3 p.m. How did just 4 hours just go by? I remember that happening to me in that experience, and I thought, this is really cool. This is really exciting that I don't have to look for anything to do. You know what I mean?
That's what I was saying. You'd be in the lounge just all day.
I have to admit though, through when we're going through Nevada, I did find because I woke up really early.
Nevada, yes. So, well, you would have been overnight in Reno, Nevada.
Mostly nighttime, but I did wake up really early because I had jet lag. So I woke up at some, I don't know, kind of ridiculous hour, and I ended up, what did I end up doing? Okay, I ended up reading a book while I was there, but it was just nice, even just, you know, sitting with the sun kind of coming in, and it was just, I don't know how to explain it. It's not just the train trip and the views and the people that you meet. It's also just that relaxing environment. It's just the gentle rocking of the train. It kind of feels like, for me, I fell asleep
too, guys.
I fell asleep, no problem. I did admittedly talk to some people that even had the beds. What were those rooms called?
The roomettes. Bedroom.
The bedrooms. I had met a couple that had a bedroom and they'd...
Yeah, here we go. Oh, anyway, guys, sorry about that. There was a little camera issue, so we'll just conclude our talk here and go from here. Now, you're talking about somebody couldn't sleep on the train, but you slept okay. So I just conclude about what you want to say coming towards Denver, and you'd recommend the train to other people. Your friend...
okay, yeah, so I was basically saying that some people have difficulty, or did have difficulty sleeping on the train, but I personally didn't have any problems, and I usually have difficulty on when I'm running a bus, or sometimes in the car, I get some motion sickness, but when I was on the train I didn't have any problems at all, so if anyone's worried about that, they don't have to.
That's right. I wonder, is there anything else?
I just highly recommend it to anyone. If anyone that enjoys a good view and wants to get from point A to point B and enjoy it thoroughly without having to drive, then I recommend it.
Yeah, especially, well, that particular train trip is one of the most scenic in the United States. It's the California Zephyr. It's an old train, by the way. The name and the whole thing was structured in 1949 it started. Not that train set, of course. But anyway, also, can I just throw in one more thought too? And I may have mentioned this in the past, but domestically over there in the United States, you can buy a USA Rail Pass, and they go for 15 days, or 30 days, or 45 days. And you can buy that and travel around the United States on some of the most scenic trips around. And anyway, so thanks Cheryl for your impressions of this first train trip in the United States on long distance.
My pleasure.
And in the future, who knows, we hope you'll be able to take other trips. And so for now, I'd say thanks again, and hope everybody enjoys that anyway.
Yes, and if you have any questions or comments, then please
Yeah.
feel free to comment below, and my dad will be in touch.
Yeah, good, thanks. Okay.